I serve women from all over the world in finding their purpose and making lots of money doing what they love. Every time I want something, every time I desire something, I literally put everything that I have, and I also try to find and complement and get better on the things that I feel like I don't yet have. The role of your subconscious is to keep you safe, to keep you in the familiar. And any change, especially a big change like this one, going after your purpose, it's scary for your subconscious mind. For your subconscious mind, change, the unfamiliar, equals potential death. You could literally die. Welcome to Blisstopia podcast. I'm your host, Mercedes Castellani, life purpose coach, business owner, and your spiritual guide on all things mindset, manifestation, and purpose. This podcast is a space for deep reflections, meaningful conversations to help you expand your mind, dive into the depths of your soul, and create a life that makes you feel alive. Whether you're walking, driving, or simply vibing, take a deep breath and get ready to dive. Hello, my love. Welcome to another episode of Blisstopia podcast. Today, we're going to talk about what no one tells you about becoming an entrepreneur. And I decided to divide this topic because it is so rich, so deep. I have so many things to share with you that I decided to divide this episode in two parts. So today it's part one, and we're going to talk about 5 things that no one tells you about becoming an entrepreneur. And I'm going to keep another 5 for the next episode. So the reason why I decided to create this episode, it's because I see in social media sometimes that becoming an entrepreneur, being a business owner, being self-employed, it's glamorized. And it is an amazing thing. Of course, you have a level of freedom, you have a level of just joy, creativity in life. And I think that's amazing. But also, I think that sometimes we miss on the realistic side of things, and we miss also on the challenges that might come up, might appear when you choose this path. So, of course, I want you to always dream big. I want you to always go after your dreams. But I think also my duty is to kind of like alert you on some of the things that might happen or not if you choose this path for yourself. So let's start by the very beginning, very, very quickly. If you've been listening to this podcast, you know my story already. But if you're new to the podcast, very, very quickly, my story is that I was a marketeer in the wine industry. I was a marketing director in the wine industry. And at some point, I realized that my soul's calling, my life purpose was somewhere else. It was not in the wine industry anymore. It was not as a marketeer anymore. It was not in the corporate world anymore. So after looking for myself, my soul, my life purpose for a couple of years, I realized that I wanted to become a coach for women. That was the certainty that I had back then. Of course, things have evolved a lot, and now I am a life purpose coach for women. But at that point, I knew I wanted to do coaching. I wanted to help women. I wanted to set up my own business. I wanted the freedom that all of that would give me. And I went all in. Every time I want something, every time I desire something, I literally put everything that I have, and I also try to find and complement and get better on the things that I feel like I don't yet have. So, of course, I went all in on this venture, this goal, this dream, I think being probably the biggest goal I've ever wanted to reach. And at the beginning, it did feel like an Everest. And then at some point, it became my reality. So now I do have my own business called Blisstopia. I serve women from all over the world in finding their purpose and making lots of money doing what they love. I have a podcast which is listened in 77 countries now. And now I'm on the other side. Now I'm an entrepreneur, a business owner. I am self-employed. And I want to share with you some of the insights and the things that came to my mind, that came to my heart, things that no one told me about. So I want to share this with you. So in case you are becoming an entrepreneur right now, or you want to become an entrepreneur at some point, this is a dream of yours. I want you to know these things so that you can learn from my experience and be like, okay, this challenge, it's normal. I'm not the only one. It's happening. It's fine. So I'm going to share with you some of the things that appeared in my path as an entrepreneur. Some of these are super positive. Some of these are like challenges. Some of these are really hard. So yeah, I'm just here to open my heart, open my soul once more and share my truth with you. So I want to share what no one tells you about becoming an entrepreneur. So let's dive right in. So when you decide that you want to become an entrepreneur, the first thing that's going to happen, one of the first things that's going to happen is that both people around you are going to think that you're crazy. And also, you are going to think that you're crazy. Because, first of all, people around you might think that you're crazy because imagine that you have a corporate career, you have a successful corporate career, and now you're like, you know what? I'm just going to change everything. I'm going to completely shift my path. I'm going to do something entirely different. So, your friends, your family members, your colleagues from this previous life, they might be like, this person is absolutely crazy. Why would they leave a successful career to start something new, start something from scratch? Like, are you going out of your mind? People will not understand your dream. And that's fine. When I decided that I wanted to set up my business, I didn't tell my family because I knew that with a lot of love, they would prevent me from going this way. My mom is a biochemist. She always had a very, very stable job. She literally had the same job her whole life. My dad used to be an engineer, and he had 3 jobs in his whole life. I think he was for 20 years in one job, then 5 years another job, and then another 10 years for another job. So they were into very stable, very predictable jobs. So if I told them, you know what, I'm going to quit my career as a marketing director, everything that I've built up until now, all of the education that I have in top business schools, all of the experience that I have, always in marketing, always in the world of wine, I'm just going to quit everything and start from scratch. They wouldn't understand the change. And they would have, with a lot of love, projected their fears onto me. And they would have somehow told me that it was not the right thing to do. So I decided not to tell anybody. And then a couple of months before I was going to quit my job, I told my family, hey, this is what I'm going to do. This is what's going to happen. And they basically had no choice. There was no room for comments because I didn't want their comments. So that's regarding your family. They might not really understand your choices, and that's fine. You don't need to explain. You're an adult now, you're a grown up now, and they will always speak from their point of view, their values, their fears, their needs, and you have your own point of views, values, fears. Your friends might not understand because maybe they're also, they have their corporate careers, they have their stable jobs, they have the mortgage, and they're like, this can go 2 ways, actually. It can either be, my God, she went nuts. What is she doing? I would never do that. That's too risky. That's too crazy. For the people that really, want stability and they really value a stable salary and all of that, they might be like, wow, that's crazy, but fine. And the people who deep, deep, deep down want to build a business, they will look up and they're going to be like, oh my God, this person is so courageous. I wish I could do the same thing. And they're going to be inspired by your change. But some people are going to think you're crazy. Some people are going to think you're courageous. Regardless, of course, you're going to do what you want to do. And then your colleagues will not understand the change because they are in that industry, in that kind of job, they're going to be like, what is she doing? Why is she changing? So she didn't like this whole thing this whole time. And the truth is, maybe you did enjoy it. It's just that now you want to do something else. Or maybe you realize that that job was fine, but it was not fulfilling your soul's true purpose. So people might think that you're crazy, and that's okay. But I think the layer that is more interesting is that at some point, you are going to wonder if you are going crazy. I remember before the couple of months that led to me quitting my job, at some point, I had a lot of anxiety, and I remember thinking, am I going crazy? I'm going to quit a 6-figure marketing director role to do what? To become a coach on Instagram? What the fuck? Like, am I actually nuts? Am I actually going literally crazy? I'm having a psychotic breakout or something. And the truth is, no, you're not going crazy, but your subconscious mind is trying to protect you. The role of your subconscious is to keep you safe, to keep you in the familiar. And any change, especially a big change like this one, going after your purpose, it's scary for your subconscious mind. For your subconscious mind, change, the unfamiliar, equals potential death. You could literally die. So my subconscious mind was like, are you going crazy? You're going to leave this successful, prestigious, fancy job as a marketing director to do what? Are you going nuts? And now we know that in the end, I ended up walking through those fears. I realized I'm not going crazy. I'm just changing my perspective in life. I am going after my life purpose. But your subconscious mind is going to be very sneaky, and it's going to be like, are you going nuts? This is crazy. Abort mission. Don't do it. Of course, with some help, you can get through these fears and then be on the other side. The second thing that is going to happen as you step into the life of an entrepreneur is that you're going to discover what it is to be actually motivated to do something. I remember when I was in the corporate world, I used to look at my to-do list and I just wanted to die. I was like, I do not want to be doing this. For Christ's sake, I don't want to call this person. I don't want to reply to that email. I don't want to start that project. I didn't want to do any of those things. And I was pushing myself, forcing myself. I was acting out of fear, because basically what I would do is I would procrastinate until at some point I didn't have a choice and I had to do the things that I had to do. But I was actually driven by fear of not meeting the deadline, fear of not making my boss happy, fear of my colleagues thinking that my job wasn't good enough. Fear. I was driven by fear. My whole corporate career, it was driven by fear. It was not joy. It was not creativity. It was fear driving the whole game for 12 years, driven by fear. Now, when I created Blisstopia, I became an entrepreneur. I was like, whoa, this is actually so new, because basically all of the things that are there in my to-do list, and there's a bunch of them, I actually want to do all of them. I actually want to see those things happening. The events that I have on my calendar now, I'm like, I'm looking forward to those things. I'm looking forward to that session. I'm looking forward to that podcast recording. I'm looking forward to that call to collaborate with someone, explore a collaboration with someone. I'm looking forward for all of the things that are either on my to-do list or on my calendar. And I'm a machine in terms of ideas. I have so many ideas. So I have to-do list that then I've organized in terms of timing. So things that I'm going to do this week, things that are urgent, things that I'm going to do this week, things that I'm going to do next week, things that I'm going to do in the month, and things that are in the future. Because I have so many ideas that I basically, of course, don't have the time to execute all of them, but at least I keep track of all my ideas. And I'm like, okay, at some point, I'm going to tackle this topic and I'm going to do this thing. But all of the things that are there in my to-do list and in my calendar, I actually genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, want to see those things happening, which was not the case before in the corporate world. The third thing that no one tells you when you become an entrepreneur is that you're going to love Mondays. This was so crazy in the beginning because when you're in the corporate world, you're looking forward for Fridays, you're looking forward for the weekends, for your freedom, because you're actually hating your week and you're just looking forward for the evenings or the weekends, which is when you feel alive. Now, when you have your own business, you become an entrepreneur, you are so lit up by your business much more than your personal life. I have so much fun in my business. I love creating, I love engaging, I love speaking with people. I love my clients. I love all the ideas. I love all the projects that I'm doing. I'm just so freaking passionate about this topic, so freaking passionate about my business that I am not looking forward for the weekend. I'm actually looking forward to Mondays. And in the beginning, I remember it was Saturday, and then I think Monday was a bank holiday. So it was Saturday, and I knew I had to wait the whole day Saturday, the whole day of Sunday, the whole day of Monday before I would actually get back to work on Tuesday. And I was like, oh my God, like I just want to be on Tuesday so that I can get back to work. I can get back to creative mode. I can get back to fun mode. So your whole relationship to your time schedule changes when you become an entrepreneur. You get to love Mondays because that's the moment when you get to play again, when you get to create again, when you get to have fun again. So you will end up loving Mondays and looking forward to Mondays. On Fridays, it's like, okay, actually, like, I know that I need to rest a little bit. I know that I need the weekend, but I could just push through, work on Saturday, work on Sunday, and then work on Monday. Of course, I don't do it because I want to be doing this for the long term. And I care a lot about my own mental and physical health, but I'm not happy when the week is over. I'm not happy on Friday because I still have so many ideas that I want to put in place, so many things that I want to do. So this is a bit kind of like counterintuitive, but you will end up loving Mondays. The fourth thing that no one tells you when you become an entrepreneur is that you will surprise yourself. You probably have a concept of yourself. You have created an identity for yourself and you have defined yourself in a certain way. Now, when I became an entrepreneur, I had to actually change the concept of myself because I realized that I was much better, much stronger, much bolder than I thought. So basically, let me give you two examples. When I was working in the corporate world, it was the concept that I had of myself, the idea that I had of myself was I really need stability. I'm the good girl. I'm always pleasing people. I'm pleasing my boss. I'm pleasing my colleagues. And I need stability, security. Like I'm just a girl, I'm just a girl in marketing with a stable job. And I love my security. I love things to be pretty. What happened when I became an entrepreneur was I realized I was actually much bolder than I thought. I was actually a fucking badass. I was actually capable of doing anything. I was actually very tolerant to risk. I was actually courageous. I was actually ready to push through my fears, understand my fears, and do whatever I wanted to do. I was actually a lot stronger than I thought. So I actually had to change my self-concept. I had to change the story that I was telling myself about myself. I was like, actually, no, I'm a badass. Actually, no, I'm bold. Actually, I'm a rebel. So I had to change my definition. And it's not because I said, I want to become bold. I want to become strong. I want to become a badass. I did things. And then I was like, I actually did that. Like I actually quit my job, to set up a business. You know how many people think about this? How many people fantasize about this? And then in the end, they never do it because they're too scared. Well, you know what? I actually went and I did it. And that in and of itself is a fantastic achievement. So I had to change the definition of myself, stop defining myself as the good girl, following the rules, following what everybody wanted of me. You know what? No, no, I'm bold. I'm a rebel and I love it. The second thing that I had to change was I always used to tell myself when I was in the marketing world, I used to tell myself that I would procrastinate a lot, which was true back then. I used to procrastinate because I didn't want to do the things that I had to do. So I would procrastinate. And then at the very, very end, I would do things last minute because of fear and stress, not because of pleasure and creativity. So what happened when I became a business owner was that I realized I was not procrastinating at all. The minute I had something on my to-do list, I was executing relentlessly, very quickly, taking aligned action after aligned action after aligned action over and over and over and over again. So I was like, whoa, it's actually not me that procrastinates. It's not my identity. It's actually, the problem is that I actually didn't enjoy what I was doing before. So I had to change my identity. I'm not a procrastinator anymore. I've never been a procrastinator. Actually, I just wasn't interested in this at all. And I didn't know. And that's why I was procrastinating, but I'm not a procrastinator. And now the minute I put something on my to-do list, boom, as soon as I can, it's done. So I had to change this label that I had put on myself because I realized it's not actually true. I saw my actions and I was like, this is not a procrastinator, this is someone who's actually motivated. And what was happening is that I wasn't motivated before, truly, deeply motivated. And the fifth thing that no one tells you when you become an entrepreneur is that, oh boy, your whole relationship to your money, to your income, it's going to change. Because when you have a corporate job, you have a stable salary, right? You enter into that job and you negotiate, okay, this is my annual salary, this is my fixed salary, this is my bonus, fine. And you know that if you work a little bit more, if you work a little bit less, it doesn't really matter. At the end, you're going to get your monthly salary. And if you make a good job, you're going to get your annual bonus. But it's like you have this very stable ground. And basically what you do when you want to grow is you get a new job in the same company, you get a promotion, or you switch to another company that pays better. And it feels like you're walking on steady soil. It feels like you are climbing stairs. You move from this row to the other row to the other row, and it feels like a very steady stairs. Now, when you become an entrepreneur, guess what? There is no soil. Nothing is guaranteed. Basically, if you take holidays the whole month and you don't have passive income yet, maybe you have zero sales. If you have a successful launch and I don't know, things aligned, things just happen for you. They just click for you. Something pops and you sell a lot of that product, a lot of that service. You might have a fantastic month and you might make in a week, in a month, what you were making in a year before in your corporate job. So there is no soil. And in the beginning, it's very hard to get used to this because you're used to your stable salary every month there for you. So it's very predictable. Here, it's like, it's not predictable anymore. There is no soil, but also there is no roof. So you could surprise yourself making in 1 week, in 1 month, what you made in 1 year before. So everything is possible. But when I started during my first year as a business owner, I felt like in the corporate job, I was walking on steady soil. And then when I became a business owner, it felt like sailing. It's moving, it's moving, it's moving, it's moving. Your income is moving, is moving, is moving. In the beginning, you're like, why is it moving so much? Because I was used to very firm ground, and now everything is moving. But then basically, at some point, I think after 1 year as a business owner, I was like, well, whatever. It's going to move, it's going to move, it's going to move, it's going to move. That's fine. You get used to the movement. But in the beginning, it is quite unfamiliar. In the beginning, it can be a little bit nerve-wracking. You really need to work on your money mindset. You really need to work on your nervous system to find safety, find comfort, find peace, even when your income is moving a lot. And again, some months it might not be what you expected. Some months it might be what you expected. Sometimes it might be way more than you expected. So you need to get used to that fluctuation, start planning for that fluctuation, and start finding systems that allow you to have a little bit more stability, even though things are moving the whole time. So for example, what I do now is Blisstopia is the business, right? And I have a bank account for Blisstopia. So all of the sales come into that bank account. And again, some months might be fantastic, extraordinary. Some months might be what I predicted in my forecast. Some months are not what I predicted in my forecast. But that's fine. In any case, all of the sales, all of the revenue enter into the Blisstopia bank account. And then what I do is I transfer a salary to myself. And that salary, it's exactly the same one every month. So basically, I create some stability for myself, even though the business is fluctuating all the time. So in the months where there's a big surplus, all of the money is saved in there. In the months where there is maybe an ebb and a flow in the income, I can take from that money, and I always get the same salary every month. Of course, as the business will grow, the monthly salary that I pay to myself will also grow. But this is a way that I found to create safety and create something stable, even though the business is always moving. Always moving. Literally, since I started, I don't think there were more than 2 months in which the income was exactly the same. It's always been moving, but now I have systems in place to find calm, to find safety, even though the revenue is always evolving. So these are the first of 5. This is part number 1. If you really enjoy this conversation and you really enjoy this level of truth and vulnerability, tune in next week for part 2, in which I'm going to share 5 different things that no one tells you about becoming an entrepreneur. See you next week for part 2. And in the meantime, in Blisstopia we trust.